$3,000. What an iconic moment in network TV history, and likely the first biggest giveaway of all time. Speaking of giveaways, what I want to talk about in this video is the advanced child tax credit, which is going to impact over 36 million plus Americans per the administration, and it's going to put somewhere between $3,000 and $3,600 directly into people's pockets, depending, of course, upon the age of these children and certain income eligibility requirements. So in this video, what I want to specifically talk about is what is the advanced child tax credit and why was it passed? How much is the advanced child tax credit? Who qualifies for the advanced child tax credit? When will the advanced child tax credit be paid? What do you need to do to receive these advanced child tax credit payments? Are these payments going to be taxable? What type of IRS notifications will you receive on advanced child tax credits? And how many times am I going to say advanced child tax credits in this video? Just kidding on that last one. Also, this past week was Advanced Child Tax Credit Awareness Day. So to increase awareness on this particular topic area, don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm so that this video gets pushed out to multiple different people so that they're all becoming aware of what this payment is actually going to be. And while you're at it, also subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell, and let's get into it. Let's get the basic question out of the way. What is the Advanced Child Tax Credit and why was this Advanced Child Tax Credit passed? The Advanced Child Tax Credit is actually a component of America's Rescue Plan. This was a bill that was passed a couple of months back and is basically over $1.9 trillion. It's effectively was released to reduce the effects of the pandemic. And according to the latest U.S. Census Pulse survey, in May, 1/3 of all adults with children are struggling to pay their usual expenses like food, rent, healthcare, and transportation. So basically, it's there to support families as we all get out of this whole crisis. So how much is this advanced child tax credit gonna be? The table that I'm showing here basically summarizes what this amount of payment is gonna be, and it's gonna be quite substantial, or at least meaningful for a lot of people. So who qualifies for these advanced child tax credits? Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning part of this video, there is age restrictions, and of course there is income restrictions as well. We've talked about those age restrictions already, right? But there are certain income eligibility requirements as well, and this table basically outlines what all of those are, depending of course upon the filing status of a given individual or household. So if you're a single filer and your AGI is your adjusted gross income is $75,000 or less, you would qualify for the full amount. Couples filing jointly or married filing jointly status and their AGI is of $150,000 or less, they go ahead and receive the full amount as well. If you're a non-filer, i.e. you're not somebody who's filed their tax return for the 2020 and 2019 seasons, you could still be eligible. You just have to get through a more convoluted process in order to getting to that eligibility based on this new IRS tax site that has essentially opened up. But anyway, I'll leave a link for that particular site in the description below as well. Now, what happens if you're making more money than what was basically outlined in that table? Okay, so what typically happens is there's a phase out. I'll include a calculator of what that particular amount is going to be so that you can include your own individual circumstance in the description below. But generally speaking, if you're a single filer and you make over $240,000 a year, you essentially get completely phased out. The general rule is the credit phases by $50 for every $1,000 over the threshold amount for all filers. So the next question is, what is the payment schedule, right? Or when will you be receiving these payments? So half of the eligible credit will be paid out monthly on July 15th, August 13th, September 15th, October 15th, November 15th, and December 15th. And for the remaining 50% of this child tax credit, it can be claimed with your tax return next year. Okay, so say for example, you're eligible for $3,000 per child in terms of payments, so you'll get $1,500 of that on this schedule that I just basically outlined, and the remaining $1,500 would essentially need to be claimed on your tax return that you file next year for this year. So what do you need to do in order to receive these payments? So the short answer is, for most people, they don't need to do anything, okay? So diddly squat. Assuming you filed the tax return last couple of years, you should be perfectly fine to receive these payments. And of course, as long as you've met those eligibility requirements as well. Now, of course, if you're a non-filer, as I mentioned earlier, right, you do need to take certain measures in order to become eligible. So I'll include a link below for this non-filer tool individual, I'll be the first to acknowledge that it is rather clunky, okay? So the next question that is quite often asked is like, are these payments that you receive, are they going to be taxable in your next year's returns or not? Well, I think the important thing to note there is that these are credits, okay? This is not treated as an income. So generally speaking, they should not be taxed, okay? But now with that said, the IRS makes this advanced child tax credit payment, it's kind of like contingent upon your 2021 income, right? So if you see your income potentially going up through the roof, and then it starts like if you're married filing jointly and it's crossing into that $440,000 in AGI, then you may be in a situation where you may have to give this credit back, okay? So it does depend on a case-by-case basis, but generally speaking, for most individuals, they should not have to make process any tax payments back to the IRS on these credits that are received. Now, with that said, if you don't want the tax credit for whatever reason, then what can you potentially do about it? And the IRS does offer the opportunity such that people can opt out of this. And this is a relatively straightforward process. I'll include a link for that in the description below as well in terms of how do you go about doing this whole thing. What kind of notifications will you be receiving from the IRS? Okay, so there'll generally be two notifications that you should receive from the IRS. You'll receive a 6417 letter, which is basically a notification of the amount that you'll be getting, and that should be coming out pretty soon if you have not received it already. And then what you'll also receive in 2022 is a 6419 letter, and that is basically will provide you an overview of how much was actually paid to you, such that you can utilize it and maintain it for your records. Now that should be all that you need to know around this whole advanced tax credit situation, but generally speaking, it's quite a boon for most families. Now, if there's other questions or comments that you have as it relates to this particular topic area, definitely include it into the comments below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the contents of this video and found some value to it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.